Hi, it's Craig with ProLite Gear, and in this video I'm going to talk about hard shells versus soft shells. And in front of me I've got a range of products here, starting with a traditional hard shell. This one happens to have an E-vent membrane in it, to a newer concept in hard shells, which is what we call a stretch hard shell. This next jacket over is a hard face soft shell. This one's using Polartec PowerShield Pro, and then a standard soft shell on this far side over here, what we frequently just call a stretch woven. So in evaluating hard shells versus soft shells and the spectrum that I have in front of me, we want to look at a couple different things when determining which is the right jacket for us. One is water resistance, another is wind resistance. We want to check how breathable they are, and we want to look at durability. Soft shells tend to be more durable than hard shells, and that's because hard shell fabric tends to rip easier than a stretch woven soft shell fabric does. We also want to look at weight and price. So first thing we're going to test out is breathability. And so I've got a device here that we call our bubbler, and it tests air permeability. The industry uses the term breathability, but they should actually be calling it air permeability. And so we'll use those two terms kind of interchangeably throughout this video, but for the purposes of this video, they mean the same thing. Okay, I've got my PowerShield Pro jacket set up on this side, and on this side I have a standard stretch woven soft shell that does not have a membrane in it. The PowerShield Pro has a membrane in it, and I've hooked it up to my little device to test air permeability. And what this is I've just got a small air pump here that's blowing air under pressure into this, and I've stretched out both of the jackets across an opening in here and filled it with water. And you can see the bubbles coming through the standard stretch woven soft shell more easily than they are coming through the PowerShield Pro. So this tells me that the PowerShield Pro isn't quite as breathable as a standard stretch woven soft shell. What I can do is put my hand over this side to kind of create some resistance, and you'll see that the bubbles increase pretty dramatically over on the PowerShield Pro side. So it is breathable, it's just not as breathable or air permeable as the soft shells that don't have a membrane in them. Okay, so I have reset my little air permeability test. I still have my Polartec PowerShield Pro soft shell on this side, which is a hard face soft shell. Now on this side I have a stretch hard shell. So this has NeoShell in it, and this is I believe it's just a slightly tweaked NeoShell membrane in it. And you can see that now we're looking at the Polartec PowerShield Pro is slightly more breathable than a stretch hard shell. Everything's a trade-off. Your stretch hard shell is going to be slightly more weather resistant, meaning water resistant and wind resistant, than your hard face soft shell. But your hard face soft shell is going to be more breathable and have a higher degree of stretch associated with it. Okay, I have reset my air permeability test one last time. I have left the stretch hard shell, which is a NeoShell membrane, hooked up to the air permeability test, and this time I have placed an E-vent hard shell in, and you can see that NeoShell is going to be more breathable than E-vent, and or more air permeable, I should say, than E-vent. And in previous tests we demonstrated that NeoShell is more air permeable than E-vent, and that E-vent is more air permeable than Gore-Tex. So I don't have a Gore-Tex jacket in the store right now to even show this, but if I were to hook Gore-Tex up to this, you would see that no bubbles are actually coming through the Gore-Tex membrane, because Gore-Tex isn't air permeable at all. So, and I should have a video on our YouTube channel already that discusses that, so I'll put a link to that video. Okay, so moving on from air permeability, let's talk about water resistance. I just uploaded a couple videos that talked about DWR and reapplying DWR, and said that DWR, or durable water repellent, is the primary or your first line of defense in water resistance. And so all of these jackets up here, from our classic hard shell to our classic soft shell, are all going to be water resistant. And that primarily has to do with the DWR treatment that the manufacturers put on the surface face fabric. On this side over here with the E-vent jacket, it has a membrane in it. So if that surface fabric wets out, meaning the DWR has failed, there's still a membrane in there that's going to prevent the water from migrating through the layers of fabric in the jacket and getting you wet. This jacket, which we called a stretch hardshell, it has a neoshell membrane in it. So same thing, it's going to be very weather and water resistant. So even if that surface fabric wets out, you still have a membrane in there that's going to be a second line of defense against getting wet. Your hard face soft shell, once again, this is the Polartec Power Shield Pro. It's from Polartec, obviously, and it has what I believe is just a tweaked version of the neoshell membrane in it. This jacket, as we demonstrated, is slightly more air permeable than the stretch hard shell, but it's still going to be very water resistant due to it having a membrane. Your last product over here, just your classic stretch woven soft shell, it does not have a membrane in it. And so if your DWR fails and the water starts to migrate through this fabric, you will get wet. So there's a trade-off in all of this. There's a trade-off between breathability and water resistant. And so as we move from very water resistant, it's going to be less breathable, to very breathable but less water resistant. Okay, next let's quickly talk about durability. One of the advantages that a soft face fabric or a stretchy fabric has over a non-stretchy, harder face fabric is durability. A traditional hard shell tends to snag easier than snag and rip easier than a soft shell, and that has to do with the nylon that's used in the face fabric. Also, it suffers from abrasion. If you are climbing on a really abrasive rock like granite, your hard shell is going to not hold up to that abrasion nearly as well as a soft shell will. And that is why climbers tend to prefer soft shell products over hard shell products. They just are more durable, in conjunction with being more breathable. So the clear advantage in the hard shell, soft shell debate goes to soft shells, and that's what makes these two center products so interesting, and in my perspective, or my personal opinion, very desirable, is they kind of represent the best of both worlds in terms of breathability and durability. I want to talk about stretchiness, and I wish I could come up with a better word than stretchiness, but that's what it is. It's just stretch. How stretchy are these different jackets? A hard shell, a traditional hard shell like a Gore-Tex hard shell or an E-vent hard shell, the membranes don't stretch. And so you have to cut the jacket large enough so that you can get a free range of motion within the jacket, overhead articulation, crossing your arms, etc. It will bind up if you don't cut it large. With soft shells, you can cut them to be tighter, and yet they won't restrict your movement at all because they will stretch with you. Now, neoshell, I've got several different neoshell jackets in the store, and some of them have more stretch associated with them than others. That's not the membrane, that's the surface fabric that they've bonded the membrane to. This one, you probably won't be able to see this on camera, but it's got a pretty good amount of stretch on it. If I look over at this hard face soft shell, it has more stretch to it. But if I go all the way over to just a standard stretch woven, it has by far the most stretch. So it's going to move with your body or conform to your body better than the other products. So in terms of stretchiness, in terms of conforming to your body movements, the soft shells win out over a hard shell. Last, I want to talk about weight. There's not a clear winner in terms of weight. It has to do with the size zippers you have, whether it's got a hood or not, additional features like pockets and drawstrings, etc. So I can't just say that all soft shells are going to weigh less than all hard shells, or all hard shells are going to weigh less than soft shells. And the same thing comes down to price. There's not a clear winner in terms of which is less expensive. The one thing I would say is that soft shells that have a membrane tend to be more expensive than soft shells that don't have a membrane, and that's just because it's a more expensive fabric they're working with. So that is a quick overview of hard shells versus soft shells. Our preference and where we think the most innovative development is happening is in these center two categories, the stretch hard shells and the hard face soft shells. And I know there's new technology coming down the pipe that is probably going to be hitting the market in 2015 that is pretty exciting. So until then, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing to us and giving us the thumbs up, etc. If you have any questions on any of this, feel free to give us a call. You can reach us at area code 406-582-0508 or send us an email to info@prolikegear.com. Thanks for watching.